All right, so I went to FedEx and I hit an estate sale on the way home at like 2:30 on a Saturday. I didn't expect to find an estate sale, but I did. And they were closing in a half an hour. And I found some stuff. Well, I made a fortune already and all of it sold untested. Let's look at that stuff. I ended up $40 in everything. So we talked about what prices were, but it doesn't really make a lot of difference. I didn't spend much on anything. This is probably the best thing that I got. It is a Sonar. I think it's a CB, but it is tube amplified. If you know what you're looking at when you look inside those little holes, you can see that it's tube amps. The vent holes are a giveaway that it's tube amped. Anyway, what I'm going to do with this is take the top off, see what tubes are inside of it. If it's got good tubes inside of it, I'll probably just sell the tubes. If it doesn't have good tubes inside of it, I'll sell it untested as is. These are patio lights. They are those covers. I used to do well with these. I hadn't seen any in a long time. Literally, these were thrown in. I said we were at $30, and I was like, yeah, $30, no big deal if you add these in. And so those were literally just an add-on. This is a beach towel. It's Big Dogs. It's made in China. I don't know how old it is, but that is a brand that was really popular in the 90s. And so I suspect that it's vintage. I didn't do comps. It's neat. Inspector Gadget has most of the parts, has this watch that isn't actually part of the figure. It was half price on everything. So this was $2.50. I suspect that will sell reasonably quickly. These straws, I just thought the box was awesome. 1968 straws in the box. 11 cents. I know everybody hates straws now because they're killing the earth, but these are collectibles, not something that you're going to use and throw in the ocean. This hat was $1, and it is brand new and just has this golfing cartoon on it. I suspect it's 10 or 12 bucks. This one is K-Brands, and I've done well with K-Brands hats. I don't know about Joy Dog Food, but this winter hat is vintage. It's K-Brands. It'll do fine for $1. Dinky Ford car. It's not in great shape, but it's not in bad shape. I suspect it was probably a police car, maybe, because it has this thing on the top of it. East African Safari. I don't know. It's a neat car. We'll see if it. We'll see how it does. Couple of 3 vintage Batman Pez dispensers. If you find these, they should have a cape. These do not, but they literally. I paid $10 for all the stuff in that pile, and so I would consider myself maybe 50 cents a piece into these. If I sell the lot, I bet I can get $10 out of all 3 together. This box will be fun to go through. The main reason that I bought this box was for these things, but as you can see, there's all kinds of other stuff. So these are resistors for vintage radios. So somebody who's working on vintage radios, 27K and 47 ohm. I'm going to probably just end up lotting all of these together because I don't know anything about them, and the guy who wants them isn't probably going to want to buy one at a time. I'll probably sell them to a hobbyist who fixes a bunch of radios, but I paid $3 for this entire box, and I'm going to sort through it and figure out what's here. When I used to work at the home improvement store,
Save big money at Menards.
People would complain because we'd send them either a stainless steel stove or a bathtub that was blue. That blue is a protective layer. And this is an old piece and is still has the protector on the front. I don't know anything about it, but I thought, let's throw that in a pile and see how much it is. and this as well. This is Pinto on it. I don't know if that refers to the Ford car, but this is a vintage CB, and I'll probably just sell it as is untested. Matter of fact, I know I'll sell it as is untested because I don't have any way to test it. Boggle vintage game. This is one of those games that has letter cubes in it, and so the letter cubes will be worth something if the whole game as a whole is not. So that's complete. And even if it wasn't complete, selling all, I knew it had all the number boxes, and so. And then this was another thing, just the whole box for one price. That's an old realistic speaker and another CB, and like Heath is a good name, and so I don't know anything about this thing, but Heath is always a good name to look for in vintage stuff. Wave Bridge Field, yeah, I don't know anything about this, but I didn't get hurt too bad for my $4 considering what all's here. Sparko-matic. Micronta Radio Shack. I don't know what that is. Johnson Transceiver Tester. Lind. Wonder what's in there. These are what they appear to be. Precision meters, new old stock in the box. So those probably have some value. Okay, so this is the CB. I brought it in the house. I took this. There were these screws in here that were holding the handle on, and then I loosened this screw and that screw, and I loosened those same two screws on this side and pulled that same handle thing out of there. I'm getting a little extra help. Thank you. Say thank you. Say thank you. What do you have in your mouth? Okay, so we're going to pull this top off of here and see what's in it. Come on, be Telefunken. 12AX7s.
Dad, why you break this?
I didn't break it. All right, I don't see anything interesting yet. Let me look with my eyes instead of through the camera. Also, I got all the help I can manage. Okay, so there's one 12AX7 tube in this. It is a Zenith. And the rest of the tubes look like they're pretty specific to this unit, and so they wouldn't be usable to transfer into a guitar amp or a record player. And so I'm just going to sell it as parts for somebody to fix up. Looks like the comps are like $50 or $60 for that. So I listed, this whole box is full of old, not old, 20 years old, graphic novels and trade paperbacks, not comic books. These are not comic books. The difference being they don't have advertisements, and so they can ship media mail. And so I sold 2 lots out of here that aren't shipped yet. But let's see if I can find this Wolverine, and there's a couple other ones, X-Men, and like a guide to surviving being an X-Man or something. And then there's DC The Authority. Figured out why I couldn't find them, because I was looking for these Wolverines and I set them off to the side. So The Authority, which is by DC Comics. Okay, and next we have this helmet and gun set from a really obscure toy On this shelf, it's in this little box. I know that it is. Anybody need an in-sync bobblehead? I got these out of a random box with, there's the gun at an estate sale, random toys, and there's the helmet. So, and those, and these sold for an undisclosed amount of money. For some reason my 12% off sale didn't stop when I thought it was going to stop. So these sold for $11.34 plus shipping on 12% off. In that same box, and this sold for $21.99 plus shipping. That's got it at the same place, and it's just like a little hand wind film thing from Star Wars, the original series. And so the other day I went to a yard sale and I found one pipe that I was like, that's really cool. And so I wanted to get that one pipe, and then I ended up with a whole mess of other pipes, and so I lotted them together. I sold the one pipe for $36.99. I sold that whole lot of pipes for $39.99. I thought this guitar strap was listed, and for some reason I had reason to check and see whether or not it was, and it was not. And so I picked this up with all of those horror movie posters for $1, and it sold, as soon as I listed it, it sold for $16.99 plus shipping. And then the other day I picked up a bunch of horror VHS. Oh, and they never even got put away. And these three sold: Arachnophobia, Blair Witch, and The Exorcist. These were $9.99 free shipping. I don't remember if it was free or plus shipping, but then they were 12% sale, and so they sold for $8.79 or whatever it came to. This was already on the table because I saw it sitting where it wasn't supposed to be sitting, and I was like, did that even get listed? And then about 10 minutes after I put my hand on it, it sold. So obviously it was listed. Sold for $6.15 free shipping. I paid 50 cents. Something, this camera film will sell, but you always want to disclose the expiration dates on it. Yeah, this stuff expired August of 2001. So you want to disclose that. People who are buying it know that it's no good, but or that it's out of date, but it'll still work. This one's going to be a little tricky to find back here. I think it's in this box. If you guys aren't familiar with Micronauts, get yourself familiar with Micronauts. It's the kind of thing you don't see very often anymore, but it's out there, and it's worth more than you expect these little bitty robot toys to be worth. Let me set the camera down. Oh yeah, look at that. I grabbed the box and there he is right on top. So this little dude, I paid $1 for a handful of vintage action figures at Spoon River Drive, which is the first weekend of October. And this little guy sold for $16.99 free shipping. So I'm making a little pile. This is stuff that I intend to list today. These I got at a garage sale for like $1. I wasn't familiar with this brand, but they're obviously high quality. Turns out they may not even be worth listing. I got these at the same garage sale with no laces. They were $1. If they were a bigger size, they would be worth listing. These I paid $4 for. I cleaned them up a little bit. I'm going to list them for $39.99. They are 90s Reebok, like canvas high tops. But for now, we'll set those out of the way and put this stuff back and get back to doing what solds. Oh, look at this. This is that Cardinals jacket. The guy said it didn't fit him. It's listed as an extra large, but it must be a child's extra large because it didn't fit him. Well, I'm a 2X. It almost fit me. I think he just decided he didn't want it. I don't know. But this came back as a return. It's relisted. I've had a rash of returns recently, and it's all been, save one, been people who are buying vintage clothes and not looking at the sizes. Vintage clothes are not the same size. This is an extra large, and it probably is more like a large. It might even be, that one's pretty close for vintage. This shirt, this bootleg Bart shirt, measures like a medium, but it's listed as an extra large. So I put listed as an extra large. This is vintage clothes. Please see the measurements. And the guy's like, this is a child size shirt. And it's not, it's just, it's vintage. And so that says extra large on it. I put the pit to pit measurement and the neck to hem measurement from the, I'll show you. And if you measure your own shirt and the ones that you like that fit you, that should work. But people will decide to buy stuff without looking at the measurements, and so then I've ended up with a handful of returns. The Cardinal shirt, the Bartman shirt, this Hunter's vest, and something else. Oh, this wider shirt was the one where I was like, well, that one, not so much. He said that one had a hole in it. And he showed me a picture that wasn't totally clear that it had a hole in the shirt, but he seemed like a genuine person and he was totally reasonable. And so I went ahead and accepted the return. I'm a little surprised that I let a shirt with a hole in it get past me. But accidents happen and it's coming back. So we'll see what happens with that. But I've had 4 items returned, which is more than I've had the whole rest of the year I've had in this last week or two. And I say that to say, if you're listing vintage clothes, make sure you put a disclaimer about the size in. If you're buying vintage clothes, make sure you're looking at the measurements of the clothes. If you're selling vintage clothes, you need to be putting measurements in and not relying on size, because the sizes are just wrong by modern standards. This sold for $30 free shipping. It weighs almost nothing. It feels almost empty. I don't know what it is or what it does. It sold for $30. So this is 60, 70, and 30 is 100. 130, 140, 150, 175, 190. And that's, some of it's free shipping. That's not counting cost of goods. That's not counting tax. But this is $190 in sales. And right now it is Monday afternoon. And I bought this stuff on Saturday afternoon. So CB stuff, I will probably look more at vintage CB stuff. And I still have a mess of it to sell. There's untested CB and a couple more pieces of testing equipment. And watch out. And this thing down here, which I thought was the best piece, but it's not. The other blue thing is the best piece. But I probably have another 50 bucks get out of all that CB stuff. So I'm pretty excited about that. I spent $40, and that's just the CB stuff. And I got some other stuff too. These things are pretty stupid. They were 50 cents a piece at a garage sale, and my kids really liked them when they were little. It goes... So they're pretty goofy. The other one, I couldn't figure out what the other song the other one sings, but they do the same thing. And these sold for $11, free shipping. Not a ton of money, but for $1 investment, they'll cost me like maybe $4 to ship. So those are decent. If you find them cheap, they'll sell. I have never seen John Wick, but this is evidently like a fake prop from John Wick. Baba Yaga, the Boogeyman. It's a bullet, and then it has like a bottle opener on it. It almost looks like it could be a train whistle. Anyway, it sold for $17.99, free shipping. Just a couple more things over here in the Things I don't have any place else to file stuff are some Champion shorts, gym shorts. Vintage Champion isn't always made in the U.S. I believe these are made in Mexico. Yeah, made in Mexico right there. Paid $4 for those at Goodwill. They sold for $14.99 free shipping on the 12% off sale. So those probably weren't the best pickup in the world. If they had pockets or they had a better, like a bigger spell out, they'd have been better, but they weren't those things. And I bought them, so I listed them and they sold, and I did make money, just not a fortune. One more BAM box. Get an idea what these BAM box things are. These are Logan Pax, I guess is the guy's name. Did a bunch of this art, and he it's comic book stuff. There I can see what I'm looking for, that Teen Titans green down there. It's hard to do one-handed. I was hoping you guys would be able to get to see. So that Teen Titans I sold with a lot of other things, I think. Yeah, so this is all DC stuff. This Teen Titans, Harley Quinn, and this is signed down here. Batman and the Joker looking like samurais. And then this girl who I suspect is from Suicide Squad. Another movie I never saw. And this is, her name is Katana, which is a pretty generic name. So those sold for $24.99. This is the guy who played Candyman from the 80s classic horror movie. Let's talk about this real quick, too. Don't be this guy. Somebody messaged me and said, hey, you have this priced way too low. You should move your price up to $49.99 because it will sell at that price, and you're just really underpricing the market. If he believed that, he would buy it and sell mine and double his money. Mine's at $24.99. I don't need him to tell me how to run my business. So that was irritating. I've had one other super irritating. This is a good one. This one's signed by a guy who played Yoda. This is from the original, or from the latest Star Wars movie. That character I don't really recognize, but I did see those movies. This is the other one right here. This is, I think it's a really cool print. Superman, Batman. Obviously, the guy who bought all that stuff was a DC Comics fan because he bought all this stuff too. Most of the stuff in that is fan art signed by the artist, and evidently amongst con people, some of these fan art people are semi-celebrities. And so those sold. And I think that's everything. I got to get all this crap packed. I went on the rant already about the guy telling me what my prices ought to be. I'll also rant about this guy who sent me a message telling me that my title was wrong. And then when I didn't correct it the way he liked it, he followed up with another message. Both of those people are on my blocked buyer list. If you're so picky that my title bothers you, then I don't want to deal with you as a customer. And so it's really easy to go on to Google search blocked buyer on eBay, and then it takes you to like a communication board that has a link that you click, and you can just add buyers by their username to blocked buyer list. Everybody that I have any problem with ever, I put on my blocked buyer list. Anybody who ever does a return for any reason, anybody who asks stupid questions, anybody who tries to correct me on my titles, anybody who lowball offers me. If you send me an offer for less than 50% of the price of an item, I put you on the blocked buyer list and don't even respond. There are millions of buyers on eBay, and I don't need to deal with these people. And it's working out reasonably well for me. So you don't have to put up with stupid people on eBay, and the easiest way to do it is to put people on your blocked buyer list before they become a problem. I'm part of a couple of Facebook groups of resellers, and anytime somebody drops a name from a problem customer, I grab that person's name off of the message and I put them on my blocked buyer list. My brother messaged me something, he was having a problem with a customer. Boom, that guy's on my blocked buyer list. because there's just no reason to have that. There's too many buyers to deal with people who are causing problems for somebody else or might be a problem.
I got to start
later.
making videos more often so that they don't get crazy long like this. Thanks for sticking in there. Hopefully you learned something. Let's get in the comments below and let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. As always, thanks for liking, commenting, and subscribing. And we'll see you on the next one.